I didn't go looking for love, I went looking for destruction, and I found a man who didn't hesitate. I see Harper laughing before I see anything else. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't hit me like it does. But there she is, head tipped back, hand resting on Julian Cross's chest like it belongs there, like she belongs there. She looks softer than I've ever seen her, lighter. Not the woman who used to clench her jaw through everything and call it strength. She looks happy. That's what cracks something in me. The ballroom is too bright, too polished. A Mafia wedding dressed up as elegance and legitimacy, crystal chandeliers glittering overhead like we're all supposed to forget what kind of men we're standing beside, white roses everywhere, symbolic, ironic, expensive. I stand near the edge of the room with a drink I haven't touched, my fingers tight around the stem. I've been holding it too long. My hand aches. Harper doesn't see me. She's too busy leaning into Julian, her smile unguarded, her body relaxed in a way that feels like betrayal, even though I know that isn't fair. She broke the pact, and somehow she got rewarded for it. I was the one who said it first. We don't do men like this. Men with blood on their hands and money that smells like iron. Men who promise safety while dragging chaos behind them. Men who don't just ruin you, they rearrange you until you don't recognize yourself anymore. I was the one who enforced it. The one who reminded everyone why we made it. The one who kept us in line when it would have been easier to let things blur. I was the leader. And now Harper is glowing like love didn't cost her anything at all. My throat burns. I tip the glass back and drain it. That was fast. The voice comes from my left. Low, unapologetic. I don't turn right away. Weddings have a way of making people thirsty, I reply coolly, or angry. That gets my attention. I turn. He's already watching me. Victor Russo. I know the name before my brain catches up. Everyone does. Underboss. Billionaire. The kind of man who doesn't smile unless he means it, and doesn't soften unless something's broken first. He's dressed in black, jacket open, no tie. He looks like he doesn't care where he is, and that makes him the most dangerous man in the room. You look like you're about to throw that glass, he continues. I might, I say flatly. Good, he says. I'd hate to be the only one enjoying this, I bristle. You don't know me. No, he agrees, but I know anger when I see it. I step closer before I can stop myself. This is where you walk away, I tell him, before you embarrass yourself. Victor doesn't move, doesn't back up. He looks down at me with something like approval, but sharper, hungrier. Embarrass myself how? He asks. By noticing you're barely holding it together? I'm perfectly fine. He snorts softly. No, you're not. That's it. That's the match to gasoline. I laugh, short and sharp. You think you have me figured out because I had a Stilven toilet? Drink too fast? I think, he says calmly, you're the woman who keeps everyone else in line while swallowing her own rage, and tonight you're tired of it. My chest tightens. You should stop talking, I say. Make me. I don't slap him. I don't storm off. I meet his gaze and hold it, my pulse roaring in my ears, something reckless and furious coiling in my stomach. Say that again. I challenge. Victor smiles for the first time. It's not kind. You want to lose control, he says, and you don't want it to be your fault. I should walk away. Instead, I grab another drink from a passing server and down half of it without breaking eye contact. You don't scare me, I say. No, he replies. You scare yourself. Something hot and vicious flares in my chest. You don't get to psychoanalyze me. I'm not, he says. I'm calling you out. For what? For wanting someone strong enough to push back. The music swells around us. People laugh. Harper spins under Julian's arm, radiant. I feel something inside me snap clean in half. Fine, I say. You think you can handle me? Victor steps closer. I think, he says quietly, you wouldn't be standing here if you didn't want to find out. The air between us is tight. Electric. Charged with the kind of heat that doesn't ask permission. I can feel eyes on us now. I don't care. "What's your name?" he asked. "Morgan." Recognition flashes across his face. Not surprise. Interest. "The one who made the rules," he says. "Someone had to. And now you want to break them." I lean in close enough that only he can hear me. "I want you to break me," I say. "For one night." Victor's jaw tightens. "Careful," he murmurs. "You don't say things like that unless you mean them." I don't look away. I mean it. He studies me for a long beat. The room fades. The music dulls. There's only his gaze and the way it feels like he's already decided something dangerous. "One night," he says finally. "No strings," I add. "No pretending this is anything else." "After," I continue. "We walk away." Victor nods once. "Fine." The way he agrees makes my stomach twist. Not because he hesitated. Because he didn't. We don't say goodbye to anyone. I don't look at Harper again. I walk out of the ballroom beside Victor Russo like I'm daring the universe to stop me. The night air hits my skin, cool and sharp. I breathe it in like relief. "You're really doing this," he says as we reach his car. "Yes." "You're angry." "Yes." "And you're going to regret it." I open the door and look back at him. "Probably," I say. That's the point. As the car pulls away, the wedding disappears behind us, lights blurring into nothing. For the first time in months, my shoulders loosen. I don't want to be strong tonight. I don't want to be the leader. I want to be cracked open and left undone. And Victor Russo? He looks like the kind of man who wouldn't hesitate to do exactly that. The car doesn't smell like leather or cologne or anything expensive. It smells like heat, like the inside of something sealed too tight for too long. Victor drives fast. Not reckless, not sloppy, but with the kind of aggression that makes the city feel like an obstacle instead of a place. The engine growls under his foot, the streetlights streaking past in white gold flashes. I don't tell him to slow down. I don't tell him anything. My pulse is loud in my ears, my jaw tight, my hands curled into fists in my lap like I'm bracing for impact. This is what I wanted. That's the lie I keep telling myself. You're quiet, Victor says. Not gentle, not curious, calling it out. I said what I needed to say already, I reply. He glances at me briefly, eyes dark, assessing, then looks back at the road. Anger burns fast, he says. You planning to outrun it? I'm planning to drown it. That earns a low sound from him. Not a laugh, something darker. Good luck, he says. It usually learns how to swim. We don't go to a hotel. That would have felt transactional, safe, contained. Victor takes me to a high-rise, with no signage, no visible staff, a private elevator that opens directly into a penthouse that looks like it was designed for impact, not comfort. Steel, stone, glass, nothing soft. The door closes behind us with a heavy, final sound that lands low in my stomach. I don't hesitate. I turn on him immediately. You don't get to slow this down, I tell him, stepping into his space, finger jabbing into his chest. You don't get to talk me through it. This is one night. Victor looks down at my hand, then back at my face. I wasn't planning to slow anything down, he says, but you don't get to pretend you're in control either. I didn't bring you here for control. No, he agrees, stepping closer. You brought me here to lose it. My breath stutters. Say it again. I snap. You want to come apart, he says, voice low, steady, deadly. And you picked someone you think won't care what it costs you. Something in me snaps. I shove him. Hard. He barely moves. That pisses me off more than if he'd grabbed me. You think you're untouchable? I hiss. Victor's mouth curves. Not a smile, a warning. I think you're used to men backing down, he says. And I don't. I grab his jacket and yank him down into a kiss that's all teeth and fury and want, my mouth crashing into his like I'm trying to break something open. He kisses me back immediately. No hesitation, no restraint, one hand coming up to my jaw, holding me in place with bruising intent, not guiding, not gentle. There is nothing soft about this. You're not going to save me. I breathe against his mouth. I wouldn't insult you like that, he replies. He backs me toward the wall, his body crowding mine, heat and pressure and nowhere to retreat. My spine hits stone, the cold contrast making me gasp. You don't get promises tonight, he continues. You don't get safety. You get what you asked for. And what's that? I challenge. Victor leans in, his mouth brushing my ear. To feel it tomorrow, that's when I stop pretending this is just sex. Because he's right. I don't want escape. I want consequences. Clothes come off fast. Not graceful. Not careful. My dress is yanked over my head and tossed aside without ceremony. His jacket follows, then his shirt. Buttons scattering across the floor like something breaking loose. I don't admire him. I don't slow down to take anything in. I shove my hands against his chest again, nails digging in this time, grounding myself in the solidity of him, the fact that he's real. Here, not a fantasy. One can dismiss later. You still angry? He asks. Yes. It sounds like permission to burn. Victor lifts me without warning, my legs locking around his waist automatically, my back hitting the wall again. Harder this time. The impact knocks the breath out of me, and the sound I make is raw and humiliating and exactly what I wanted. Careful, I warn. No, he says. Reckless. He kisses down my throat, my collarbone, his teeth grazing just enough to make my hips jerk forward without my permission. I hate that. I love it. Don't hold back, I snap. I wasn't planning to. He carries me to the bedroom like I weigh nothing, dropping me onto the bed with zero ceremony, his body following immediately, the mattress dipping under his weight. The city glows through the windows, distant and uncaring. This feels like falling off a cliff. You don't get to blame me tomorrow, Victor says, hovering over me, eyes burning. You chose this. I know. You walked into it. Yes. And you're not going to pretend you didn't want every second. I bare my teeth at him. I'll own it. That seems to satisfy him. The moment stretches. Hot. Breathless. Inevitable. His hand slides down my side, his touch deliberate, claiming space, testing reactions, not soothing, not asking. I arch into it without thinking. There it is. Control slipping. Exactly what I want. His body pressed onto of me, and when he connects with me, my mind blanked. Everything narrows. I come back to myself with my cheek pressed to his chest, my body warm and heavy, my thoughts slow and scattered like I've been shaken out of myself. Victor's arm is draped over my back, not tender, not possessive, anchoring. The room is quiet except for our breathing. I don't feel empty, I feel wrecked, exactly as planned. You still standing? He asks. Barely. Yes, I say anyway. He huffs a quiet sound. Stubborn? You like that. I tolerate it. I smile into his skin, exhausted and strangely clear-headed. This was supposed to fix something. It didn't, but it cracked the pressure valve. I sit up slowly, reaching for my dress. Victor doesn't stop me. That would have ruined everything. One night, I remind him, voice rough. He nods. You made that rule, and I'm keeping it. He watches me dress, his gaze sharp, unapologetic. You're angry for a reason, he says. Don't waste it. I pause at the door. That's not advice I asked for. Didn't say it was. I turn back to him once, taking him in. Fully now. Dangerous, unapologetic, exactly the wrong man. This doesn't happen again, I say. Victor's expression doesn't change. Then leave, he replies. Prove it. I do. The elevator ride down is quiet. The city hits me like cold water when I step outside, the night air sharp and sobering. My phone buzzes once before I can get into a cab. Unknown number. Victor, you got what you came for. I stare at the screen. I don't reply. I don't need to. Back in my apartment, I peel off the night like a skin I'm not sure I can put back on properly. I should feel regret. I don't. I feel exposed. And that scares me more. Because this wasn't an accident. It was a choice. And as I lie awake staring at the ceiling, my body humming, my thoughts too loud, one truth settles in with brutal clarity. I didn't go looking for relief. I went looking for destruction. And I found a man who didn't hesitate to give it to me. I wake up sore. I wake up wired. My body hums like it's still plugged into something dangerous, every nerve buzzing, skin too aware of itself. The ceiling above my bed feels unfamiliar, too white, too calm, like it doesn't know what happened last night, and I resent it for that. I stare at it anyway. I tell myself this is what I wanted. That lie doesn't land the way it did in the car. My phone sits on the nightstand, screen dark and accusing. I don't check it. I already know there won't be anything there. Victor Russo doesn't strike me as the kind of man who texts good morning, or anything else that implies continuity. He told me to leave. He didn't follow. He didn't chase. That should make this easier. It doesn't. I shower longer than necessary, letting the water beat against my skin like penance, like maybe I can scrub off the heat that's still clinging to me. It doesn't work. My thighs still ache in a way that makes my breath hitch when I move the wrong way. My mouth still remembers the taste of him. Salt and heat and something sharp I can't name. I turn the water colder. It helps. Barely. I dress carefully. Not seductively. Not dramatically. Armor. Black trousers. White blouse. Hair pulled back tight enough that my scalp tugs. I look like the woman everyone expects me to be. The one who enforces rules, who keeps things together, who doesn't let her emotions spill into the room ahead of her. The leader. If they could see me now, they'd never know. That's the problem. Work is impossible. I sit through meetings without hearing a word, answer emails on autopilot, smile when required. My body is present, but my mind keeps replaying the same fragments on a loop. Victor's hands at my hips. His voice in my ear. The way he looked at me when I told him I wanted him to wreck me. Like he didn't think I was joking, like he respected the honesty of it. That's what unsettles me the most. Not the sex. The recognition. By noon, the city feels too loud. I step out to grab coffee mostly as an excuse to breathe air that doesn't smell like recycled office space and unresolved tension. The cafe on the corner is crowded, all noise and steam and clinking ceramic. I'm waiting for my order when I feel it. That sensation again, the one from the wedding. Like the air has shifted to accommodate someone. I don't turn right away. I don't need to. Victor stands near the window, one hand wrapped around a paper cup, his jacket draped casually over his arm, like, this is coincidence. It isn't. My pulse spikes hard enough that I almost drop my wallet. He sees me immediately. His gaze locks onto mine with zero hesitation, zero surprise, like he knew exactly where I'd be. That does something ugly and hot to my stomach. I should leave. I don't. I walk toward him instead, anger flaring bright and fast, giving me something solid to stand on. You following me now? I demand quietly when I'm close enough that no one else can hear. Victor's mouth curves. Not a smile. Something sharper. You don't strike me as someone who scares easily. That's not an answer. I wasn't trying to give you one. I glance around. What are you doing here? Drinking coffee, he replies calmly. You? I scoff. You think this is funny? No, he says. I think you're wound tight and pretending you're not. I step closer, lowering my voice. You don't get to show up in my life like this. I didn't show up at your apartment, he says. You showed up in mine. That was last night. And this is today. His gaze drags over me, slow and unapologetic, not leering, not soft, assessing. You don't look wrecked, he adds. Disappointing. Heat flashes through me. You don't get to comment on how I look. I get to comment on whatever I want, he replies. You don't have to listen. Then stop talking. He leans in just enough that I can smell coffee and the faint trace of smoke. No, he says. You're too busy pretending you're unaffected. The barista calls my name. I grab my drink, hands shaking despite myself. This was one night, I say, meeting his gaze head on. You don't get to bleed into my day after. Victor nods slowly. And yet here you are, still standing in front of me? Because you cornered me. He chuckles, low and humorless. You walked toward me? Damn it! People brush past us, oblivious. Victor steps back first this time, taking a sip of his coffee like he's got all the time in the world. Relax, he says. I'm not asking for a repeat. Good. There you go again, he adds. Thinking control is the same as immunity. I bristle. You don't know anything about me. I know you didn't come looking for comfort, he says, and I know you don't do things halfway. That doesn't mean, it means, he cuts in, voice dropping, that last night didn't end for you when you walked out the door. I don't answer. Because I can't. I turn to leave. Victor doesn't stop me. That shouldn't matter. It does. You should stay angry, he calls after me. It suits you. I flip him off without looking back. My hands are shaking by the time I make it back to the office. The rest of the day crawls. By evening, the anger has burned down to something more volatile. Restlessness, sharp and unproductive. I can't sit still. Can't focus. Can't shake the sense that something has shifted, and I'm pretending not to feel it. I leave work early. I don't tell anyone where I'm going. My phone buzzes as I step out onto the street. Unknown number. I already know. Victor, you still pretending last night was a controlled burn? My jaw tightens. Me, stop texting me. A pause. Then, or what? Heat flares again, unwanted and immediate. Me, this isn't happening again? Another pause. Longer. Then, good. That shouldn't piss me off. It does. I walk home instead of taking a cab, letting the city noise ground me. Neon signs flicker. Traffic roars. Life goes on like I didn't detonate something private and dangerous in the middle of it. By the time I reach my building, my nerves are shot. That's when I see the car. Black. Expensive. Parked too cleanly to be accidental. Victor leans against it, jacket back on, arms crossed, watching the entrance like he owns the place. My heart slams into my ribs. You have got to be kidding me. I snap as I approach. He straightens slowly. You look better angry. You don't get to wait for me. I wasn't waiting, he says. I was thinking. About what? Whether you'd come out swinging or pretending you don't care. And? You're still pretending. I stop a foot away from him. This ends, I say, voice shaking now despite my best efforts. You don't get to push into my life because I had one bad night. Victor's eyes darken. One, he repeats. That wasn't bad, that was deliberate. You don't get to define it. No, he agrees. You do. And you're lying. That does it. I shove him again, harder this time. He catches my wrists instantly, grip firm, unyielding, eyes locked on mine. There it is, he says quietly. That's the part you liked. I wrench free, breath ragged. Don't touch me. Then stop coming at me like you want to be touched. The words hit too close to the truth. I step back, chest heaving. This is over, I say again, more to myself than him. Victor studies me for a long beat. Fine, he says finally. Then prove it. By doing what? By not letting this turn into something else, he replies. By not calling, not coming back, not blaming me when you realize it cracked something open. My throat tightens. He steps aside, giving me a clear path to the door. Go, he says. I hesitate. Just for a second. That's all it takes. I turn and walk inside without looking back. The elevator doors close. My reflection stares back at me, flushed and furious and far too alive. When I reach my apartment, I lock the door and lean against it, sliding down until I'm sitting on the floor, heart pounding like I just ran from something dangerous. Because I did, not him. Myself. Later, lying in bed, staring at the dark ceiling, one truth settles in with uncomfortable clarity. Last night wasn't a mistake, it was a release. And releases have consequences. Victor Russo isn't chasing me. He's daring me to stop. And I don't know yet whether I can. I don't see Victor for 3 days. That's how I know I'm already in trouble. Because I'm aware of the absence. I tell myself it's fine. Necessary, even. That whatever snapped open that night will settle back into place if I give it enough distance, enough structure, enough routine. I double down on control. Early mornings. Longer hours. No idle time. No drinks. No wedding photos. No Harper updates. Especially no Harper updates. But anger doesn't disappear just because you refuse to acknowledge it. It ferments. It sharpens. It waits. By the 3rd day, I'm wound so tight I feel brittle. The invite comes through my assistant like it's nothing. A charity gala. Private. High dollar. Mandatory presents from the board. I skim the details without really reading them already. Irritated at the thought of another room full of men pretending they don't traffic in blood while their wives smile politely beside them. Then I see the name. Russo Holdings. Principal sponsor. My stomach drops. No, I say out loud. My assistant looks up. Problem? Yes, I reply. Is attendance required? She checks her tablet. Non-negotiable. Of course it is. Victor doesn't chase, he positions. And this is pressure with a smile. The night of the gala, I dress like I'm going to war. Not soft, not elegant. Black silk dress cut sharp enough to feel like a weapon. Hair pulled back. Jewelry minimal. Heels I can run in if I have to. I look at myself in the mirror and don't recognize the woman staring back. She looks dangerous. The venue is a museum closed to the public for the night. Marble floors, soaring ceilings, art so expensive it feels obscene to breathe near it. Security everywhere, dressed to blend in but impossible to miss if you know what to look for. The air is thick with power, and there he is. Victor stands near the center of the room like he belongs there, which he does. Black suit, open collar, no tie, relaxed posture. Predatory stillness. He's not watching me when I enter. Which is worse. I circulate. I smile. I do my job. I feel his presence like a pressure system shifting the atmosphere. Every time I turn, he's somewhere else. Talking to someone important. Laughing quietly. Commanding attention without ever asking for it. He doesn't approach me. He doesn't corner me. He lets the room do the work. By the time he finally looks at me, I'm already on edge. His gaze hits me like a hand closing around my throat. Not gentle. Not curious. Possessive in the most dangerous way. Not ownership, but recognition. Like he sees exactly what I am tonight. I break eye contact first. That pisses me off. Morgan. I stiffen at the sound of my name. I don't turn right away. That's a bad idea, I say coolly. Victor steps into my peripheral vision anyway, close enough that I can feel his heat, his presence undeniable. Most good ones are, he replies. I face him, jaw tight. You planned this. I funded it, he says. You came anyway. I didn't have a choice. He leans in slightly, voice low. You always have a choice. You just don't like the ones that make you feel weak. I bristle. You don't know anything about me. I know you don't walk away from fights, he says. And this feels like one. I scan the room. People are watching now. Not openly, but enough. This isn't the place, I hiss. Victor's mouth curves. You're right. Then back off. No. The word is quiet. Absolute. It sends a jolt straight through me. You said one night. I remind him. You don't get to insert yourself into my world. He studies me for a long beat, gaze slow and unapologetic. I didn't insert myself, he says. You live in this world. You just forgot that men like me move freely in it. Men like you ruin things. Yes, he agrees easily. That's why you picked me. My pulse spikes. Careful, I warn. Or what, he asks. You'll hit me again? The memory flashes hot and sharp. I hate that my body reacts before my brain does. Why are you here? I demand. To watch, he replies. You? Obligation. He hums softly. Liar. I step closer, lowering my voice. Say what you want and leave me alone. Victor's gaze darkens. You don't want to be left alone. I absolutely do. No, he says. You want to be challenged, pushed, taken apart. I feel exposed, furious. You don't get to talk about me like that. I get to talk about whatever you show me, he replies. And tonight, you're vibrating with it. A waiter passes with champagne. Victor plucks a glass and presses it into my hand without asking. I don't refuse it. That's a mistake. You look like you're waiting for something to break, he continues. I'm surprised you haven't done it yourself yet. I don't self-destruct. You do, he says. You just call it leadership. That hits harder than anything else he's said. I drain the glass. Enjoying the show? Harper's voice cuts in from my right. I freeze. She stands there glowing, hair soft, eyes bright, Julian's hand resting at the small of her back, like a promise she doesn't even have to think about anymore. Victor steps back half a pace, eyes flicking between us with sharp interest. Morgan, Harper says gently, I didn't realize you were coming tonight. I didn't realize I had a choice, I reply. Julian nods once at Victor. Tension hums beneath the polite acknowledgement. This is Victor Russo, Harper adds. Victor? This is... I know who she is, Victor says. The way he says it makes Harper glance between us. Something tightens in her expression. We were just catching up, Victor adds smoothly. Harper smiles, but it doesn't quite reach her eyes. Really? Yes, I say flatly. We were. Julian's gaze sharpens. Victor meets it without blinking. The air feels primed to explode. Well, Harper says after a beat, I'm glad you're both enjoying the evening. Her hand tightens slightly on Julian's arm. She looks happy. Safe, claimed. The sight of it punches the air out of my lungs. When they walk away, I turn on Victor like a storm breaking. You did that on purpose? I snap. Yes, he says. You wanted her to see. I wanted you to feel it, he corrects. And you did. You don't get to use my friends to make a point. No, he agrees. But you don't get to pretend you're not bleeding over it either. I step closer, furious, voice shaking now. You don't know what she did to us. I know, he says quietly, that you're angry because she chose herself. That's not. And you're terrified of doing the same. He finishes. The words land like a blow. This ends tonight, I say. You stop showing up. You stop pushing. Victor studies me, then nods once. All right. The ease of it throws me. Just like that? For now, he replies. That's not reassurance. It's a threat. He steps back into the crowd, disappearing. As easily as he appeared. The pressure doesn't leave with him. It stays wrapped around my ribs, tight and unrelenting. I spend the rest of the night pretending I'm fine. I'm not. Later, standing alone on the museum steps, city lights glittering below, I finally let myself breathe. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. Victor, you looked good tonight. Anger suits you. I close my eyes. I don't respond. I don't need to, because the truth is already clawing its way up my throat. This wasn't supposed to follow me. But Victor Russo doesn't fade into the background. He becomes part of the environment. And the more I push against him, the more certain I am that something in me wants to break again. The fallout doesn't arrive all at once. It leaks. It starts with looks. Lingering ones. Curious ones. The kind that slide over your face a second too long before skittering away. Like people are afraid you might notice they're talking about you. By the time I realize it's happening, it's already too late to stop. Are you going to sit down? Claire's voice is sharp enough to cut through the hum of the restaurant. I blink, realizing I've been standing there too long, my chair still pushed back, my bag hanging uselessly from my shoulder. Sorry, I mutter, dropping into the seat. Ava and Sophia are already there. No Harper. That should have been my first clue. The table is quiet in a way that feels intentional. Defensive. No one reaches for menus. No one jokes. The waiter hovers and then retreats. This isn't dinner. It's an ambush. What's going on, I ask, though my stomach has already dropped. Ava folds her hands together, knuckles whitening. We need to talk. I lean back, crossing my arms. About? Claire doesn't bother softening it. Victor Russo. The name lands like a slap. I feel it in my chest first. Then my jaw. Then the tight coil in my stomach that's been there since the gala and hasn't loosened since. Excuse me? I say coolly. Sophia exhales. Don't do that. Don't pretend you don't know what we're talking about. I laugh once, sharp and humorless. I don't see how who I talk to at a charity event is any of your business. It's everyone's business. Ava snaps, then catches herself. She lowers her voice. Because we made a pact. There it is. The word settles over the table like a loaded gun. I didn't fall in love with him, I say immediately. Too fast. Too loud. Claire winces. That's not the defense you think it is. I didn't choose him, I add. I didn't do what Harper did. Sophia's mouth tightens. You left with him. Silence. I feel it then. The shift. The moment where denial stops working because everyone at the table already knows the truth. That was one night, I say, more carefully now. One mistake. And it's done. Ava's eyes search my face. Is it? Yes, I say firmly. It is. The lie tastes bitter. Claire leans forward, elbows on the table. Morgan, people are talking. People always talk. Not like this, she says. Victor Russo doesn't just show up around someone without meaning to. I didn't invite him. I snap. But you didn't stop him either. Sophia counters. Anger flares hot and immediate. You don't get to police who I talk to. We do when it's him, Ava says. That's the whole point of the pact. I slam my hand down on the table before I can stop myself. Glasses rattle. The pact was about love, I say, voice shaking now. About not losing ourselves to men like that. I didn't lose anything. Sophia meets my gaze steadily. Are you sure? That does it. I push back from the table, chair screeching against the floor. This is ridiculous. Claire reaches for my arm. Morgan. Don't, I warn. Heads turn. I don't care. I grab my bag and storm out, the door slamming behind me hard enough to draw stares. I don't look back. The city air hits me like a slap. I walk fast, heels striking pavement too hard, chest tight, throat burning with something dangerously close to tears. They don't understand. They didn't see Harper the way I did. Soft, safe, claimed. They didn't feel the pressure of holding everyone together while she broke the rule and walked into happiness. And now they're looking at me like I'm the one who's out of line. The irony is almost funny. My phone buzzes. Unknown number, I don't have to look. Victor, you look like someone just cornered you. I stop walking. My breath comes too fast. Me, stay out of my life. A pause. Then, they found out. It's not a question. My pulse spikes. How would he? Me, how do you know that? Another pause. Longer. Then, you're not subtle when you're angry. That sends a shiver down my spine. I turn down a side street, ducking into the shadow of a closed storefront. Me. This is exactly why this can't happen. Seconds pass. Victor. It already did. I close my eyes, pressing my head back against the brick wall. Me. You're causing problems. A beat. Then. No, I'm revealing them. I shove my phone back into my bag, heart pounding. I don't want to see him. I don't want to hear his voice. And yet my body hums with awareness like he's already close. That terrifies me. The next few days are worse. Word spreads quietly. Invitations shift. Conversations stop when I walk into rooms. People watch me with that same careful curiosity, like I'm a live wire they're not sure how to handle. Victor Russo's name follows mine like a shadow. No proof. No confirmation. Just implication. That's all it takes in this world. Harper doesn't call. That hurts more than the rest of it. I catch glimpses of her online. Photos from some overseas trip with Julian. Her smile unguarded. Her body language relaxed in a way that makes my chest ache. She looks free. I feel exposed. By Friday, I snap. I leave work early, my nerves frayed, my patience gone. I don't know where I'm going until I'm there. Victor's building rises in front of me, cold and unapologetic against the skyline. I don't think. I walk inside. The elevator ride feels too long. My reflection stares back at me, eyes bright, jaw tight, hair slightly undone. Angry, alive. The doors open. Victor is already there, leaning against the counter like he expected me. That makes my breath catch. You don't get to do this, I say as I step out. You don't get to invade my life and blow it up. He straightens slowly, eyes dark, unreadable. You came here because you won't leave me alone. That's not true, he says. I haven't shown up at your door. I didn't ask you to. You didn't ask me to stop either. The words hang heavy between us. I pace, anger spilling out now that there's no audience to judge it. My friends think I broke the pact. You did, I whirl on him. I didn't choose you. Victor steps closer. You chose this. That's not the same. No, he agrees. It's worse. I laugh bitterly. You enjoy this. I enjoy honesty, he replies. And you're finally being honest about what it cost you. I didn't want this, I say, voice cracking despite myself. I didn't want to be the one they look at like I'm the problem. Victor's gaze sharpens. You were always going to be. That hurts more than it should. Why? I demand. Because leaders don't get to fall quietly, he says. When you crack, everyone hears it. Silence stretches. I hate that he understands. I hate that he sees me. I can't do this again, I say finally. Whatever this is, it's already too much. Victor studies me for a long beat. Then he nods once. All right. The ease of it knocks the air out of me. That's it? For now, he replies. But don't confuse distance with denial. I'm not in denial. He looks at me like he doesn't believe that for a second. I turn toward the door. My hand is on the handle when he speaks again. You didn't come here to end it, he says quietly. You came here because you don't know how to sit with the damage yet. I don't respond. I can't. I leave before I say something I can't take back. That night, alone in my apartment, the weight of it finally settles. The pact isn't broken because I slept with Victor Russo. It's broken because everyone saw me want something I wasn't supposed to. And once they saw it, I couldn't put the crown back on. The night turns sharp without warning. 1 second, I'm stepping out of a black car onto a side street that smells like rain and oil and old brick, irritated that Victor insisted on this meeting being off the grid. And the next, everything snaps tight. The air changes, I feel it before I hear it. Victor does too. His hand comes up fast, fingers closing around my wrist, yanking me back just as a car engine revs too hard at the end of the street. Don't move, he says. Not calm. Not soothing. Command. My heart slams into my ribs. What? Quiet. He pulls me into the shadow of a recessed doorway, his body blocking mine, his attention already locked down the street. The car rolls closer, headlights cutting across brick, too slow, too deliberate. This wasn't supposed to be like this, I hiss. Victor doesn't look at me. It never is. The car stops. Doors open. Too many footsteps. My pulse roars so loud I'm sure they can hear it. Victor's grip tightens. Not protective, not gentle. Anchoring, claiming space. Stay where you are, he murmurs near my ear, and don't make a sound unless I tell you to. I nod, breath shallow. This isn't social fallout. This is real. A voice carries down the street. Male. Familiar to Victor, judging by the way his shoulders go rigid. You're slipping, Russo, the voice calls. Thought you'd be smarter. Victor exhales slowly through his nose. Stay behind me, he says quietly. No matter what. I don't need. He turns his head just enough for me to see his eyes. Dark. Focused. Alive. In a way that has nothing to do with desire. You do, he says. Tonight you do. Something in his tone shuts me up instantly. The men fan out. 3 of them, moving with the confidence of people who think they've already won. You brought her, the voice says again. That's sloppy. Victor steps forward, putting more distance between them and me. You came into my territory, he replies. That's suicidal. A laugh. Territory shifts. Everything happens fast after that. One of them reaches into his jacket. Victor moves. I don't see everything. I hear it. A grunt. A sharp cry. The thud of bodies hitting brick. The unmistakable crack of bone. I press my hand over my mouth, terror and adrenaline tangling until my limbs feel light and wrong. Victor doesn't hesitate. He's brutal, efficient, unapologetic. This is not the man from the penthouse. This is the man people warn you about. And I don't run. I should. I don't. When it's over, the street is quiet again. The men gone, retreated or dragged away. I don't know which. Victor turns to me, chest rising fast, knuckles scraped, eyes still burning. Are you hit? He demands. No, I whisper. Are you? He scans me anyway, hands firm at my arms, checking, not tender, not careful. You're shaking, he notes. So would you. I snap. That almost gets a smile out of him. We're not staying here, he says. Come on. He doesn't ask. He grabs my hand and pulls me back toward the car, the engine already running like he planned for this outcome. I stumble, heart racing, body buzzing with leftover fear. Victor. I say once we're inside, doors locked, the car peeling away. What the hell was that? Consequence, he replies. For what? For being me. That answer lands heavy. We don't go back to his penthouse. He takes me somewhere else. Lower, darker, a private space tucked beneath another building, concrete and steel and security that feels absolute. The door shuts behind us with a sound that echoes. My knees give out. I sink onto a bench, adrenaline crashing hard. Victor crouches in front of me, hands braced on his thighs, eyes locked on my face. "You're still here," he says. I swallow. "You didn't tell me it was like this." "I didn't tell you to come." "That's true." I close my eyes for a second, breathing through the aftermath. When I open them again, he's still watching me. "You saw it," he says. "This isn't a story. It's not a thrill. It doesn't turn off." "I know," I reply hoarsely. "No," he corrects. "You're starting to." I laugh weakly. "Congratulations." "This is where people decide," he says. "They either walk away or they stop pretending." My pulse thunders. "Is this you telling me to leave?" "I'm telling you," he says quietly, "that if you stay, this stops being about anger. And becomes what?" "Commitment," he replies. "Not romance, not comfort, reality." The word settles between us like a blade. He straightens, giving me space. That's when I realize he's not blocking the door. He's waiting. The choice is mine. This is the moment I should have walked away. I didn't. So before I tell you what happened next, have you ever stood right on the edge of a choice and realized the danger wasn't the man in front of you? It was how badly you wanted to stay? I stand slowly, my legs still shaky. "You think I'm scared," I say. "I think you should be," Victor replies, "and that you're not." I step closer. "That night," I say, voice steady now, "I wanted to be wrecked. Tonight, I want the truth." His jaw tightens. "You're not built for half measures," he says. "No, I agree. Neither are you." The air between us ignites. He doesn't touch me first. I do. I grip his jacket and pull him down into a kiss that's rough and unfiltered and furious, with everything we didn't say before. His response is immediate, hands sliding to my waist, fingers digging in like he's grounding himself as much as me. This isn't sex, this is collision. "You don't get to disappear after this." I breathe against his mouth. He pulls back just enough to look at me. "I wasn't planning to," he says. He backs me against the wall, his body crowding mine, heat and power and no illusion of safety. My breath stutters. My skin hums. "This is where it changes," he says quietly. "If we do this now, it's not about letting go. It's about standing still." I nod. "Then don't hold back." I never do. His mouth traces my jaw, my throat, his touch firm and demanding, not soothing, not gentle. I arch into it, every nerve screaming, the fear from earlier twisting into something sharp and alive. "You chose me," he murmurs. "Say it." "I chose you. Say it like you mean it." "I chose you," I repeat, louder, truer. Something in him snaps. His hand grabbed my waist, and the other in my hair, holding me in place as he kisses me like it was the air he needed to live. Right there against the wall, the man I chose wrecked me, and I let him. The world narrows. I come back to myself with my head against his chest, his arms around me, not soft, not tender. Enclosing, holding space. My heartbeat slowly evens out. The danger hasn't gone away. It's just quieter. "You didn't flinch," Victor says. "I didn't want to," I reply. He exhales. "That's gonna cost you." "I know." "And you stayed anyway." "Yes." I sit up slowly, looking at him in the low light. "This doesn't make me yours," I say. "No," he agrees. "It makes you informed." "And you?" He meets my gaze. "It makes me responsible." That's the first time he said anything like that. It scares me more than the violence did. Later, as he walks me to the door, the city humming beyond the concrete walls, he pauses. "You can still walk away tomorrow," he says. I look at him. Really look at him. I didn't walk away tonight, I reply. Don't insult me by pretending tomorrow will be easier. A corner of his mouth lifts. Fair. When I step back into the night, my body still humming, my heart still racing, one truth settles deep in my bones. This wasn't a mistake. This was a line. And I crossed it with my eyes open. The invitation doesn't come to me directly. That should have been my first warning. It arrives through 3 channels at once. My assistant, a board contact, and a text from a number I don't recognize, all within the same 10-minute span. Same event, same location, same phrasing, private, mandatory, non-negotiable. A gathering that doesn't advertise itself as anything other than what it is. Power consolidating under the pretense of civility. Victor's world. I stare at the message longer than necessary, my pulse steady in a way that tells me I've already decided. I don't ask him if he'll be there. Of course he will be. I don't tell the girls I'm going. That's deliberate. After what happened, after the dinner, after the looks, after the quiet fracture that settled between us like dust after a collapse, I don't owe anyone explanations I'm not ready to give. Especially not Harper. Not yet. The venue is an old armory on the edge of the city, stripped of its original purpose and polished just enough to pass for legitimate. Stone walls, iron fixtures, security woven into the shadows like a second architecture. This isn't a gala. It's a reckoning. The moment I step inside, the noise drops. Not volume, but texture. Conversations tighten. Laughter thins. Eyes track movement with professional interest. They see me, they know who I am, and they know who I walked in with, even though Victor isn't at my side. Not yet. I feel him before I see him. That pull. That pressure. Victor stands near the far wall, engaged in conversation with 2 men who look like they've never been told no. He's dressed in black again, jacket buttoned this time, posture relaxed in the way only men with real authority ever manage. When his gaze lifts and finds mine, it locks. No question, no hesitation, no surprise. The air shifts. He doesn't come to me, he waits. And that is its own kind of claim. I circulate, I shake hands. I exchange polite words. I let people read whatever they want into my presence here. I don't deny it. I don't confirm it. I let the ambiguity do its work. Every few minutes, I feel Victor's attention like a hand at my back. Not touching, not guiding. Present. Watching. Measuring reactions. When someone asks me what brings me here tonight, I answer truthfully. Business. That earns raised brows. Good. It happens an hour in. Quietly. I'm mid-conversation with a man whose smile never reaches his eyes when Victor steps in. Not beside me, not behind me. Between. The move is subtle, efficient, undeniable. Excuse us, Victor says. It's not a request. The man hesitates, then steps back. Victor doesn't look at him again. He looks at me. You look steady, he says. I am. His gaze drags over me, slow and unapologetic. Good. The word doesn't sound like Julian's. It sounds like possession. You're making a point, I say quietly. Yes. About what? About what happens when people assume too much. He offers me his arm. The room holds its breath. I take it. The effect is immediate. Conversations stall, eyes follow. The temperature in the room shifts from polite to alert. Victor doesn't guide me toward a corner. He leads me straight through the center of the space. Every step is deliberate. Every look we pass is cataloged. This is not about romance. This is about alignment. We stop near a long table where several men sit, faces I recognize, names that carry weight. One of them looks up, expression sharp with appraisal. Russo, he says. Didn't realize this was a social evening. Victor's mouth curves slightly. It's not. The man's gaze flicks to me. Then who's your guest? Victor doesn't miss a beat. She's not. The word lands clean. She's with me. Silence. Not shocked. Assessing. The man leans back. That's new. No, Victor replies. It's just public now. I don't breathe. I don't move. I stand there, spine straight, hand resting lightly on his arm like it belongs there. Because in this moment, it does. The man studies me. You understand what that implies? I do, I say before Victor can answer. Victor's fingers tighten once, a warning or a promise. I'm not sure which. The man nods slowly. Then welcome. Just like that. A line drawn. We move again. People make space without being asked. Whispers ripple outward, contained but unstoppable. Victor doesn't address them. He doesn't explain. He lets the message stand on its own. You didn't ask me, I murmur as we stop near the edge of the room. I didn't need to, he replies. You wouldn't have taken my arm if you weren't ready. And if I wasn't? Then we'd be having a different conversation. My pulse spikes. Later, he adds, a woman approaches, elegant, dangerous in her own way. She smiles at Victor, then at me. So this is her, she says. Victor's gaze doesn't leave my face. This is Morgan. The emphasis matters. The woman nods. I like her already. So do I, Victor replies. No qualifiers, no softening, just truth. The night unfolds around us like a chessboard resetting itself. People approach Victor differently now, measured, curious, cautious. I am no longer invisible. I am no longer optional. Every conversation confirms it. Every look reinforces it. And I don't flinch. Halfway through the evening, I catch sight of Harper. She stands near the entrance, Julian at her side, her expression unreadable as she watches us. The air between us stretches thin and taut. Victor notices the shift in my posture immediately. You want to leave? He says quietly. No, I reply. I want to stand here. He studies me for a beat, then nods. We don't approach her. We don't retreat. We let the distance speak for itself. Later, when the room has settled into a new equilibrium, Victor leads me to a quieter corner, not hidden, just removed enough for conversation to land. This is the part where people decide what to do with what they saw, he says. And what do? They adapt, he replies, or they don't. And if they don't, he shrugs, they won't matter for long. The casual certainty in his voice sends a shiver down my spine. You didn't ask if I was ready for this, I say. He turns to face me fully now, attention sharp. You've been ready since the night you didn't run, he says. Tonight just made it visible. And you? I don't make things visible unless I intend to keep them that way. There it is. Not romance. Not promise. Intent. The drive back is quiet. Not tense. Not heavy. Settled. Victor's hand rests on my thigh. Not possessive. Not reassuring. Present. You'll hear things tomorrow, he says. I already do. Some of them will be ugly. I'm not fragile. I know, he replies. That's why I didn't hide you. I close my eyes for a moment, letting the city lights streak past. I chose this, I say. Yes, he agrees. You did. When we stop outside my building, he doesn't follow me out of the car. He doesn't ask me to stay. He doesn't soften the moment. This changes how people see you, he says. I can handle that. It also changes how they treat you. I meet his gaze. I can handle that too. He studies me for a long beat, then nods once. Good. I step out into the night, the cool air hitting my skin like a baptism. As the car pulls away, one truth settles in my bones with absolute clarity. Victor didn't claim me with words. He claimed me with placement, with visibility, with consequence. And when morning comes, nothing will look the same. Not to my friends, not to my enemies, and not to me. The morning after the armory gathering doesn't arrive gently. It comes with silence, not the peaceful kind. The kind that presses against your eardrums and makes you aware of every breath you take, every shift of your body against clean sheets that still smell faintly like him. Victor isn't beside me. That's deliberate. I didn't stay the night. Not because he asked me to leave. Not because he pushed. Because I needed to wake up alone and know that I still chose this. My phone lights up before I'm fully awake. No missed calls. That surprises me. No frantic messages. No explosions. No immediate fallout. Just one text. Victor. You awake? I stare at it longer than necessary. Me. Yes. 3 dots appear almost instantly. Then disappear. Then, good. We need to talk later. Not to fix anything. I exhale slowly. That line matters. The city looks different from my window. Not changed. Reordered. I shower, dress, move through my apartment with a steadiness that feels earned rather than forced. There's a quiet clarity humming beneath my skin. Not calm, exactly. More like alignment. I'm not scrambling. I'm bracing. The first call comes at 10. Ava. I let it ring twice before answering. Hey, I say. There's a pause on the other end. So it's true. I don't ask what she means. Yes. Another pause. Longer. You walked in with him, she says. You let him put you in the middle of that room. I took his arm. I correct gently. He didn't pull me anywhere. She exhales sharply. Morgan. I know, I say. I know what this looks like. And you don't care? I look out the window again, the city bright and unapologetic. I care, I say. I just don't regret it. That silence hurts. I let it. Claire texts next. Then Sophia. Questions without question marks. Statements disguised as concern. Warnings that feel more like boundaries being drawn. I read them all. I don't answer right away. Not because I don't know what to say. Because I do. And I need to be ready to live with it. Victor doesn't push. He doesn't call again. He gives me the space to decide whether I meant what I stood for last night. That tells me more about him than any promise ever could. We meet that afternoon in his penthouse. I arrive alone. The door opens without ceremony. Victor stands barefoot on stone floors, sleeves rolled up, jacket discarded. He looks less like a kingmaker and more like a man who expects the ground beneath him to hold. You didn't stay, he says. No, he nods. I figured. Does that bother you? No, he replies. It tells me you're still yourself. That eases something in my chest. We don't touch right away. We sit across from each other instead. Me on the edge of the sofa, him in a chair opposite, the city stretched out behind him like a challenge he already beat. This morning was quiet. I say, it won't stay that way. I know. People will try to test you, he continues. Some will test me through you. And if I don't like it? Then you tell me, he says. And I decide whether it ends. The casual violence of that lands heavy. You don't ask permission, I note. No, he agrees. I ask alignment. And if I don't align? His gaze sharpens. Not angry, not offended. Then we don't do this, he says simply. That's the first real out he's offered. It's clean. Honest. I don't take it. I need you to understand something, I say. I didn't come into this because I wanted protection. I know. I don't need to be shielded. I know. I won't shrink for you. A beat. Victor leans forward, forearms braced on his knees. Good, he says. I don't have time for smaller women. The approval in his voice isn't soothing. It's challenging. I meet it head on. I'm going to lose people, I say. Yes. Some of them permanently. Yes. And you're not going to soften that for me? No, he says. But I won't lie about it either. I sit back, absorbing that. This isn't about winning, I say slowly. No, he agrees. It's about placement. And where am I placed? Victor doesn't answer right away. When he does, his voice is steady. Where you chose to stand. The truth of it settles deep. No pedestal. No cage. No illusion. Just ground. Later, when I leave his place again, on my own terms, I feel the shift fully. People look at me differently in the lobby. Not with curiosity. With calculation. That should scare me. It doesn't. Harper texts that evening. Just one line. Harper, can we talk? I stare at it for a long time. This is the wound I haven't let myself touch. I type, erase, type again. Me, not today, but yes. 3 dots appear. Then, thank you. I close my eyes. That's enough for now. The days that follow are not easy. They are not dramatic either. They are measured. Invitations change. Meetings adjust. People test boundaries carefully, like they're checking whether I'll fold now that the stakes are real. I don't. Victor never interferes unless I ask. When I do, he listens. When he acts decisively. It's a partnership built on pressure, not comfort. And it works. One night, a week later, we stand on his balcony overlooking the city. The air is cool, the lights endless. You're settling, he observes. I'm adapting. That too. I lean against the railing, watching traffic snake through the streets below. My friends will come back, I say quietly. Eventually. Maybe not all of them, but some. I won't stand in the way of that. Victor says. I wouldn't let you. A corner of his mouth lifts. I know. I turn to face him fully. This isn't love, I say. No, he agrees. But it's not nothing either. No, he says again. I step closer, closing the space between us. It's dangerous. Yes. And I want it anyway. His hand comes to my jaw, firm, grounding. Then don't pretend it's something else, he murmurs. Own it. I do. Later, lying awake in my own bed, the city humming faintly outside my windows, I think about the pact we made. How we thought safety meant sameness. How we thought love had rules. Harper broke it first. I broke it louder. And someday, when the dust settles and the distance softens, we'll sit together again and admit the truth we were too scared to name back then. We didn't fall apart. We grew in different directions. I don't know what the future looks like with Victor Russo. I know it won't be easy. I know it won't be gentle. I know it will cost me. But I also know this. I didn't lose myself. I chose where to stand. And when the world rearranged itself around that choice, I didn't step back. Thank you for listening to my story. This wasn't a love built on safety or permission. It was a choice made in anger, sealed in desire, and owned without apology. I didn't fall by accident. I stepped into the fire with my eyes open. If my story stayed with you, I'd love to know the moment you realized I was hooked on him. My friend Ava's story comes next. Book 3, The Man Her Friends Said Would Ruin Her. And this time, the fall is even faster. Like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel to thrive. See you in the next one.